January of 1942, just 1 month after Pearl Harbor, a Pennsylvania dentist named Lytle Adams had an idea so absurd it should have been immediately dismissed. Instead, it reached President Franklin Roosevelt's desk and received official approval for development. The proposal was simple in its madness: equip thousands of Mexican bats with small incendiary bombs and release them over Japanese cities. Adams believed these animals would naturally seek shelter in the wooden and paper roofs of Japanese buildings, turning each bat into a living weapon capable of starting devastating fires. What began as a wartime fantasy would become one of the most bizarre military projects in American history, consuming millions of dollars and nearly 3 years of secret development. But the truth behind Project X-Ray is even stranger than any science fiction could imagine. Lytle Adams was neither a mad inventor nor a military strategist. He was a respected dentist from Erwin, Pennsylvania, who had developed a close friendship with Eleanor Roosevelt through his philanthropic work. When Adams visited the Carlsbad Caverns in New Mexico in December of 1941, he was impressed by the massive number of bats emerging at dusk. Millions of them flew in organized formations, covering the sky like a living cloud. It was at that moment the idea struck him. If the Japanese could use kamikaze planes, why couldn't the Americans use kamikaze bats? Adams knew that Japanese cities were built primarily with wood and paper, highly flammable materials. A single well-placed fire could devastate entire city blocks. He envisioned thousands of bats carrying small incendiary bombs, spreading across an entire city and starting hundreds of fires simultaneously. Adams' letter to the White House arrived in January of 1942, at a time when the United States was desperately seeking any advantage against Japan. Roosevelt, known for his open mind to innovative ideas, was intrigued by the proposal. He wrote a personal note to Colonel William Donovan, head of the Office of Strategic Services. "This man's idea is worth serious consideration. Please investigate and report on its feasibility." In March of 1942, Adams received a call that would change his life. The American government wanted to develop his idea. Project X-Ray was officially born, with an initial budget of $2 million, an astronomical sum for the time. Adams was appointed a civilian consultant and given access to military resources most scientists could only dream of. The first challenge was purely biological, finding the right bat species. Adams' team, now including zoologists from Harvard University, identified the Mexican free-tailed bat as the ideal candidate. These animals weighed only half an ounce, but could carry up to 3/4 of an ounce of additional load. More importantly, they were abundant in the caves of the American Southwest and had predictable migratory habits. During the summer of 1942, capture teams worked tirelessly in the caves of Texas and New Mexico. They developed special nets and handling techniques that allowed thousands of bats to be captured without injury. The animals were transported in refrigerated boxes to maintain their hibernation during transit. Within a few months, the Americans had created the largest bat capture operation in history, collecting over 6,000 animals for initial tests. Meanwhile, engineers faced an equally complex challenge: creating an incendiary bomb small enough for a bat to carry, yet powerful enough to start a significant fire. Dr. Louis Fieser, the Harvard chemist who had developed napalm, was recruited for the project. His team created small 17-gram capsules containing a mixture of gelled kerosene and white phosphorus. Each bomb was the size of a matchbox and was equipped with a timed detonator that could be set to explode between 23 minutes and 1 hour after activation. The bombs were attached to the bats using small surgical clips that fastened to the animal's chest without causing permanent injury. Initial laboratory tests showed that a single equipped bat could start a fire capable of consuming an entire house in a matter of minutes. The first field tests took place at Muroc Army Air Field, California, in May of 1943. The team built exact replicas of Japanese houses using authentic materials secretly imported through neutral diplomatic contacts. Cedar wood, rice paper, traditional tatami mats, everything was meticulously reproduced to ensure testing accuracy. When the first equipped bats were released at dawn, the results exceeded all expectations. The animals flew directly to the structures, seeking shelter in dark corners and tight spaces, exactly as Adams had predicted. When the bombs detonated, the flames spread with terrifying speed. In less than 10 minutes, an entire test village was ablaze. Military observers were impressed by the system's devastating effectiveness. A general present commented that he had never seen such a simple weapon cause such complete destruction. But it was during a test in Carlsbad, New Mexico, that the project revealed its truly terrifying potential, as well as its inherent dangers. In August of 1943, some equipped bats accidentally escaped before their bomb's scheduled activation. The animals, following their natural instincts, flew into the hangars and buildings of the military base. When the bombs detonated, they started fires that quickly spread through the facilities. The main hangar, containing millions of dollars in equipment, was completely destroyed. Military barracks, vehicles, and even the control tower were damaged before firefighters could control the flames. The incident cost over $2 million in damages and almost resulted in the immediate cancellation of the project. Ironically, the accident proved that the system worked perfectly well, perhaps too well to be safely controlled. Despite the setbacks, testing continued with redoubled safety measures. The team developed more sophisticated containment systems and stricter release protocols. In December of 1943, they conducted their most ambitious test yet, a simulation of a real attack using a ghost town built specifically for the project in the Nevada desert. 1,000 equipped bats were simultaneously released from B-25 bombers flying at 10,000 feet of altitude. The results were spectacular and terrifying. Within 2 hours, the entire town was ablaze. The fires spread so rapidly that even prepared firefighters could not control the situation. Later analyses showed that the bats had started over 400 separate fires, creating a firestorm that consumed everything in its path. Military strategists calculated that a single attack with 10,000 bats could devastate a city the size of Osaka. While testing continued in the American desert, parallel events were shaping the project's fate. In Los Alamos, New Mexico, just 200 miles away, another ultra-secret military project was rapidly advancing. The Manhattan Project, focused on developing the atomic bomb, was consuming resources and attention on an unprecedented scale. In March of 1944, when Los Alamos scientists confirmed that a nuclear weapon was not only possible but probable within a year, military priorities began to shift dramatically. Admiral Ernest King, Chief of Naval Operations, expressed growing skepticism about the operational feasibility of bats in real combat. He questioned how troops could control thousands of live animals in battle conditions, especially considering the logistical challenges of keeping bats hibernating during transoceanic transport. The final decision came in April of 1944 during a classified meeting at the Pentagon. General Henry Arnold presented a devastating report on the escalating costs of Project X-ray. Over $20 million had already been spent, with estimates that at least $50 million more would be needed to make the system operationally viable. Compared to the promising progress of the Manhattan Project, which promised to end the war with a single weapon, the bats seemed a relic of a simpler era of warfare. Secretary of War Henry Stimson made the final decision. Project X-ray would be officially canceled. All captive bats were released back to their native caves, and project documents were classified as top secret. Adams received a personal thank you letter from Roosevelt, but was instructed never to publicly discuss his work. The cancellation of Project X-ray marked the end of a unique era in American military history, when the desperate creativity of war led scientists and military personnel to explore the most improbable possibilities. Although the bats never flew over Japanese cities, tests conclusively proved that Adams' idea was not only viable but potentially devastating. Later military analyses suggested that a coordinated attack with incendiary bats could have caused more immediate destruction than conventional bombings, spreading chaos across multiple cities simultaneously. The project demonstrated both the potential and dangers of weaponizing nature, anticipating modern debates on biological warfare and unconventional weapons. Today, looking back, Project X-ray stands as a testament to human ingenuity in times of desperation, a reminder that even the most bizarre ideas can hold seeds of real possibility, and a fascinating example of how war can transform even the most absurd concepts into scientific reality.